If you're like me, you've probably been seeing these weird needlepoint brushes all over social media. As a professional artist, I love me some brushes. I even have my own personal signature brand of brushes, but I always got my eye out for something unique and special, so I just had to try these. Luckily, I got my hands on a set. Thanks to Fuumuui for sending these over for me to try out. And guess what? I'm going to try them out in real time with you today. As a professional artist, I want to look at a few specific things: hold, endurance, control, and sensitivity. We're going to try a few strokes, look at the unique mechanics of how they're built. I'll do a little demo and really put them to the test. By the end of the video, I'll give you my complete honest opinion on whether they are a total gimmick or worth the hype. Hi, I'm Crystal Bashara. I'm an artist and illustrator, and I've been teaching watercolor to thousands of students all over the world for over 25 years. At the end of this video, I'll let you know whether I will be adding them to my artist kit or not. So first off, the packaging is quite pretty. It comes in this lovely box with a little bit of information on it, and it just slides out like this. Inside this particular set of needlepoint brushes, there are 4 sizes in this set: a 20, a 14, a 10, and a 4. Of course, they're just in this plastic sleeve. And then I always recommend getting rid of the plastic cap and not trying to feed it back on once you've started using your brushes. This particular set on their website indicates that the bristles on the belly are sable, and to my eye, rather than Kolinsky, it looks like red sable, which is a budget-friendly option. And then the needle in the center is synthetic. They do mention that they will shed for the first few uses, so that's something to be mindful of. The brushes are always packed to protect the bristles. So you'll notice that this looks quite rigid. You just have to wash off the sizing that is meant to protect the bristles. So we can do that by gently rinsing in some water. And you can bounce around in the bottom of your cup very, very lightly. You don't want to be too aggressive because, of course, you don't want to snap off or damage any bristles. And you want to do that a few times. So you can even feel with your fingertips that there's a little bit of kind of sliminess, and that just tells you that indeed there's sizing in there. And you can kind of rinse it underwater or just keep bouncing it around very gently in a cup of water. There we go. So I'm going to squeeze that out. I probably won't use the 20, but let's compare this series of brushes to typical sizes found in my line of brushes. So for instance, this brush is labeled as a number 10. This brush is a designer blend in my signature series, and it is a number 10 as well. So you can just kind of tell that the two ferrules are a little bit different in size, and the Fuumuui brush is a tiny bit smaller, more like a typical number 8. But let's take an opportunity to look also at the type of belly that we have here. So as you can see, even though my brush is considered a pointed round, it does not have that crazy needlepoint that the Fuumuui brush has, and that's the whole point of this brush. And comparing the way they feel, certainly upwards of $60. My number 10 half sable, half synthetic brush does have a heftier weight to it, and these are handcrafted in the UK. The metal piece, the ferrule, feels a little bit more sturdy. They are both double crimped, which is excellent. This definitely is more balanced in the hand and is weightier, but again, there's a much heftier price tag attached to that. With the Fuumuui brushes, you're getting 4 brushes. I think in this set it retails for about $50, so it's still under the cost of one of these brushes. And again, you're really benefiting from the combination of the natural hair in the belly and then the synthetic tip here. So what we can do is just experiment. I'm playing with the number 10 and I'm wetting it, And you can see that the belly swells, so it acts kind of like a reservoir. It's holding the water here. And then the benefit of this little needle is that it will slowly distribute the paint. Now, typically, again, in my series, a regular rigger or a liner is going to have long bristles, but there are fewer of them, and that sort of consistency in the length and the thickness of the bristles means that it does wear out of paint a little bit faster. So the whole concept behind these needle nose allows you to create really long lasting lines. So if you're doing a lot of script work or calligraphic lines, let's say you're urban sketching or you're doing some tree lines with long branches or lots of grasses, the whole thing with watercolor is that you want to work as efficiently as possible and as quickly as possible. So not having to redip and reload your brush is a real asset. So let's give this a spin. So I'm just going to play a little bit, experiment with this. This is new for me in terms of a style of bristle, so I've got to get familiar with it first. I'm going to just pick up a little bit of permanent rose. So I'm going to fully load up the brush, really letting that belly sop up a good amount of permanent rose and see what this has to offer. I can already see it's starting to shed a little bit, but that's okay. It is supposed to kind of slow the shedding process down as we go. I'll just start with a light pressure and see what happens. So using the number 10, I get quite a fine line. Now you're not looking for extreme control here. If you wanted that, you'd go down to a much shorter fine bristle. The whole point here is that you could get really long expressive lines. So this line is going on forever. It really has legs. I mean, truly, this is quite remarkable. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water and see how it responds. So just kind of dipping just the nose, the little needle part in, and see what happens here. So by varying the pressure, of course, you can get different types of strokes. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there, but I'm going to reload my brush and see if that helps. So I can really see how this would be beneficial if you were doing florals. By just adding a little bit of pressure, you can create some very interesting shapes. And again, you're not looking for something that's really predictable or accurate here. It's kind of the whole point. This feels a little bit better, kind of pulling the brush towards me and then stamping down. Now we can stamp and lift, of course, and that will give you an interesting effect. If I hold the brush a little bit closer, a little bit farther down the ferrule, of course, that's going to give me a lot more control as well. So I am impressed with how much this holds and these kind of fun lines. Okay, so I think if we are really going to put this to the test, we ought to do an actual painting. So let's go find a natural subject. We just planted some big planters in the backyard with a really nice combination of big chunky fat lines and thin lines. So perhaps this will be the subject that I'll try these new brushes with. Yes, I think this will do nicely. Okay, now that we found our subject, I've got a handful of colors here that I'll just be pulling from. I'm using my 140-pound cold pressed paper. It's 100% rag paper and a ceramic palette here. I'll have all of the links in the description box, so if you're curious about any of these, they all link to my Amazon store, and you can get your hands on this set of brushes as well. What I'm going to start with is the number 10 because it seems to offer the most flexibility. I think the 14 and the 20 will be a little bit bulky. This is a 9x12 format, and I'm just going to keep it really loose and sketchy and see what we come up with here. I'm used to being really precise. If you've been with me for a while, you know that my paintings are quite realistic, other than the really simple tutorials that I offer here on my channel. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think for me, what will I start with? I'll start with the blooms. And of course, we'll try to do this in 2 or 3 passes, starting with the lightest colors and working our way to the darker colors. So I'm just gonna wing it here. These are my geraniums. And I think the idea here is just to have like a real looseness. So I've moved my hand back to the end of the brush and I'm almost sketching with the brush and then stamping. So we'll see what happens. This really does take a little bit of knack to control. It's truly unlike anything I've ever worked with before. So I'm really sopping up a lot of paint and I'm just kind of varying the pressure to get these super organic shapes. Again, because of the unpredictability of these bristles, it's kind of taking a little bit of getting used to. However, I can see once you kind of harness the power of this, how fun and how freeing it might be, especially for those of you who are a little bit tighter and you tend to white knuckle your brush and feel like you want to loosen up a bit. And after 25 years of teaching, I've never, ever heard a student say, hey, you know what? I want to tighten up. No, they're always exclaiming how they want to loosen up. So a brush like this could be a real asset. So just move this a little bit closer. You can see what colors I'm grabbing. I'm just working with my sap green. And I think what I'd like to do is try to get these bulky kind of leaves on before this dries up. So again, this is not my typical way of painting. I'm gonna try to hang on to some negative space as well. Just flip-flopping between really loose, kind of sketchy calligraphic lines. Because this holds so much in the belly, you can work pretty quickly. And that allows you to kind of drag pigment out from your existing little blobs. So I can see how efficient this would be, especially in a plein air situation. So these long spikes here are going to be just a breeze to do. Grab a little bit of yellow, just to kind of have a sunnier side to my pot of geraniums. So of course, like anything, we're gonna have to let this dry and then come back at it with a darker color. Let's do a few of those long purple flowers. So I'll just kind of do these sort of sketchy, expressive, twirling kind of shapes. It's pretty cool. Okay, let's let this dry. Well, I'll just put one more little leaf over here just so that it's not so bulky. So I am really varying the pressure and I'm just kind of letting the brush do its thing. And that's the beauty of watercolors, that it is going to do its thing no matter what. So there is a certain amount of letting go that's necessary and beautiful, and that's really where the magic lies with watercolors. So the natural personality of watercolor combined with this brush should really free you up beautifully. All right, now we will let that dry. It's a little bit of inconsistency with the hair in the smallest brush. I don't know if that's typical, but I'm sure it will just blend back in. So I'm going to pick up some of my kind of purpley blue color here and add a few of those little flowers. Again, the nature of this painting and this style of brush is that we just don't have too much control. So instead of trying to control this, we got to go with it, go with the flow, people. So I'm kind of stamping and sketching and adding a few of those little flowers. Again, I'm just playing here. This is just for fun. This is not a serious illustration or painting. We're just experimenting. And I think what I'll do now is I'll switch up one size. In this set anyway, it jumps to a number 10. And I'll start adding in some of those dark greens, some of the negative spaces. Kind of cutting around the geranium leaves. Nothing too specific. When I do this negative space painting, I kind of squint my eyes so that I can eliminate some of the noise and just really focus on blocking in shapes that are a little bit more abstract. Get a little bit more visual noise here. Again, a few little cast shadows, and maybe I'll go up some of these spikes to make them a little bit more pronounced. Okay, finally I'll go into my pinks again and just give them a second layer. I think I'll just go a little bit darker with some alizarin. This isn't a full tutorial, of course, it's just a demonstration. Okay, I'll blot that out, get a few of my reds back in. So let's try to hint at having a little bit of a pot and see, oh, maybe I'll go up to a larger brush for this. Just working with some burnt umber. Yeah, because the little needle nose on the larger one is a bit bigger than the smaller one, so it will allow me to kind of work a little bit more quickly. Decided to make this pot into a terracotta pot. Okay, so overall, I'm really pleased with these brushes. They actually didn't shed as much as I've heard other people talking about them. They do take a little bit of getting used to, as I mentioned. The bigger brush is definitely a little bit front heavy, so where the bristles are, it's a little weighty there, so the balance feels a little bit off since the choice of wood here is quite lightweight. However, that's part of dealing with something that's very, very budget friendly. There has to be some compromise. The wood is a little bit more lighter weight. They definitely perform. I'm super happy with these. Thank you, Fuumuui, for sending them my way. I'm thrilled to have been able to test drive these. And overall, I think I would be recommending these to anybody if you want to add a little bit of character and explore painting a little faster, a little bit more sketchy. This is perfect for plein air painting, perfect for urban sketching, and certainly if you're doing botanical illustration and you want to have these long, glorious, elegant lines, I think that would be fun as well. I do love how these have a double crimp here, which is going to really, really extend the life of your brush. And then, of course, the last thing is just taking good care of them. And you can check out my video on how to care for your brushes and how to make them last a lot longer. I'll leave that link in the video below. I am happy to say I will 100% be adding these to my artist kit. If these free art lessons mean something to you, consider hitting that super thanks button below. It directly supports me and my efforts creating all of these free videos. I would love if you hit that subscribe button, liked it, shared it, or even commented. And just as a reminder, I do have that amazing full list of beginner watercolor techniques, how to stretch your paper, how to set up your watercolor palette, how to set up your watercolor space, and more, all listed below in my special watercolor course that is free here on YouTube. All of the links are provided in the description box below. Thanks everybody for playing with me today and test driving the Fuumuui Needlepoint brush set. Until the next time.